A ladder trap is little more than a large bird cage. What sets it apart is the ladder-like structure set in the roof, which provides the entrance to the trap. The target bird will jump down between the rungs of the ladder to access the food inside. To get out, it will need to fly, and the gaps are too narrow to fly through. The distance between the rungs of the ladder determines what can get in and what can get out. The trap is highly selective, and only birds of a certain size will be a target. Simple, but very effective. Ladder traps are easy to make. Anyone could build one, as long as they have some basic tools and moderate DIY skills. For this design, you will need 2.4 metre lengths of tannalised wooden lath, a roll of 25mm wire mesh, some screws and staples, a bag of cable ties, and for the door, 2 small hinges and a hasp and staple. Start by making 2 rectangular frames, 2.4 by 1.8 metres in size. These will make up the sides of the trap. Pilot holes will help prevent the timber from splitting. Basic joints will suffice. Just butt the ends together with screws. One of these side panels will have a door in it, so make a frame about 60 centimetres wide. Use the panel you just made and the door's top and bottom pieces to judge the length you need for the door's vertical sides. And then screw it all together. You'll need a post for the door. To increase the strength of the door, mark up and fit some cross struts. Finally, fit some door hinges. Adding struts to the side panels will give something for the mesh to fix to, as well as increasing strength and rigidity. The side panels are done. Next up, the end panels. These are a little more complicated as they must allow for the sloping roof. The bottom piece of the end panels dictates the width of our trap. Here it is 180 centimetres. Use a side panel to mark up the length of the vertical pieces. This ensures all the panels are perfectly equal in height and line up properly. Make sure you allow for the thickness of the bottom piece. The vertical sides will be seated on top of it. Lay out the 3 main sides to the frame and fix together. Take a length of timber and mark out the precise base width of your panel. This is a temporary brace for the top. This helps to get the angles right for the cross members and keeps things square during construction. It's worth taking a bit of care at this stage to make sure everything is properly squared up. Now for the cross members. This is probably the trickiest part of the construction, but it's still pretty easy. Place a length of timber under the panel stretching roughly from corner to corner. Carefully line up the upper edge of the timber to the top corner. line up the lower edge to the opposing side. Make sure everything is lined up so you can mark up the wood for cutting accurately. These cross members dictate the height of the ladder above ground, so it's actually worth just checking how high the centre of that cross member is above the base. You want it to be at least 1 metre above ground, ideally a bit higher. Once you've cut your first cross member, you can use this as a template for the other 3. Or use a miter saw. That really makes things easy. When fitting these cross members in place, you have a choice. You could take the easy route and just bend them across each other. For those perfectionists with an eye for a good job, it's nice to make a proper joint. We're trying to be quick. It's now time to build the ladder. The dimensions of the ladder is important. The species of bird you catch is entirely dependent on the size of the gap between the rungs. For rooks and crows, you need 150mm, and for jackdaws and magpies, it's 75mm. It is common to make 2 ladders, one for each group of corvids. First, make a rectangular frame. This needs to be the same length as the trap, and the rungs will be 130mm long. For the frame's end pieces, they really need to go on the end of the long lengths. This will make the ladder just a little bit longer than the trap, and makes fitting in the trap a little easier. Cut the rungs to 130mm. The number of rungs you will need depends on the size of the gap and the length of your trap. For gaps of 150mm, this 2.4 metre trap will need about 15 rungs, plus a few spare. To make things easy, make a guide to help you fit the rungs. Cut a length of wood to match the width of your gap. Finally, you need to blank off the first gap at each end of the ladder. This prevents the birds getting out by climbing up the sides of the trap. You can use a piece of board or just use some spare rungs. The ladder is done. To make the roof, you'll need to construct the trap as we have it so far. Just use some cable ties to fix things in place for now. This is also a good time to check the height of that ladder. The long sides of the roof will measure the full length of our timber, 2.4 metres in this case, so they're easy and ready to go. Place 2 long pieces together to get the right length for the short side. Use the trap itself as a guide to mark up. Now you just need to construct the two frames. Finally, add extra strength by using some struts placed equally in the frame. With the roof built, deconstruct the trap so you can attach the mesh. The mesh goes on the outside of the panels. Fix with staples every 10 centimetres or so. There is no need to stretch or tighten the mesh. A bit of give is what you want. Trim off any excess mesh. The height of the frame will probably be higher than your mesh is wide, so you will need to join the edges of mesh together. Use a 3-inch nail to provide a twist. When cutting the excess mesh for the end panels, make sure to leave a little bit extra at the cross section. This will cover the gap below the ladder. A final touch, the hasp and staple for the door. And that's it. One ladder trap ready to be loaded onto a trailer. When you're on location, just fix it all together with cable ties. For more information about traps, the law and regulations, see the Basque website. You can also download an instruction sheet of this design to print out.